Hello and welcome. Today I'm in the mighty Izumo, the tier 9 Japanese battleship that many people have considered pretty poor, but I think that she's actually okay. A lot of the reasons why, people consider her weaker is historical reasons, because she used to have really poor armor. I'm using these modules and commander skills in this current match. So it's on the map Estuary, which means that there are no tier 10 ships around, so my Izumo is the top tier ship, and that also means I don't actually have to suffer as much, because nowadays the main issue that Izumo has is going up against tier 10s, because she is definitely a lot weaker than them, but against tier 7s and 8s she is very good. The main thing that the Izumo brings over something like the Iowa is the accuracy of the guns. They appear to be much more accurate, and numerically it seems to also be true, so it seems to be the case that the Izumo guns are more likely to hit. But pretty much on everything else though, the Izumo isn't very good. Although I guess if you think about it, the secondaries are pretty okay on her. But like, armor isn't great, anti-air isn't great, the size is massive, and that's actually pretty problematic. And the gun layout isn't that good either, because if you have 3 guns at the front, it's like, this isn't very useful, because what this does is if you're running away from enemies, you can't fire the back gun straight behind. But it also doesn't give you much advantage when firing straight ahead, because the back gun, or because the third gun essentially works like a complete back gun, except it's at the front of the ship. So the big downside with the size of the Izumo is that she isn't very difficult to citadel due to her size, and the armor isn't as great as on something like a Yamato, so it's not as great. But then again, neither is the Iowa, so the Izumo is a pretty good tier 9 battleship. Although I think now that with German battleships in the game, I would put the Friedrich der Grosse as a bit of a stronger ship. But of course, she has much less accurate guns, and well, as you could see, I just got a citadel hit on the Nagato. So, we are trying to fight over the A-cap, but there are so many enemies around here that I don't think it's a good idea for me to push forward. That's Kutuzov, Tirpitz, Nagato, Iowa. So they definitely have more firepower than we do in this region, which is why I don't really want to keep going straight ahead. I think I'm gonna stop here and do the thing many people complain about, which is battleships camping at the range and stuff. While people complain about it, I think it's a completely natural thing to do in a battleship. Of course, there are issues, you have to do it at the right time in the right circumstances. But right now, we have the C-cap, and we are definitely holding on to it. What we don't want to do is really give them the A-cap easily, but if we rush in, we will die, and they will take the A-cap after that, so that's also not a good plan. So I think it's a much better plan for us to just sit near the A-cap and try to let them not cap it, while, simply just shooting them. Because this means that they will have to push into us, and they will be at a disadvantage. So I want to do a turn here, but maybe not actually. I guess this New Orleans is gonna try to push into A. In that case, we want to delete her, because she is opening up on our Błyskawica. We wanted to cap the A-cap, but I don't think it's realistic for her to get it. At least as long as she doesn't use smoke, which it appears she didn't, because she died just now. Which is a complete waste, in my opinion. Like, you could have at least used all your smokes before you did that. And there goes our Iowa, so essentially at this point I want to definitely camp as much as possible. That's 2 battleships and 2 cruisers, and probably a 3rd battleship that will come around as well. Like, you don't want to be as far away as that Nagato on the enemy team, but you definitely want to be at least as far away as I currently am. The secondaries do help, they are decapping the New Orleans. And this means that they are not gonna get the A-cap, at least until they get some more ships inside here. the fortunate thing, and why it's not so bad for me to push out how I did so far, is that they don't have anything with long-range torpedoes. Usually you have like Japanese cruisers or similar who will just torpedo you, and in that case you do want your battleships to stay further away, because those torpedoes can definitely ruin her. I pay a lot of attention to what's behind me because I don't want to get I don't want to run aground while reversing. That would be incredibly embarrassing and rather disastrous, because I am currently being pelted with HE, and if I go forward I'm gonna be in the torpedo range of the Kutuzov, and that's gonna end in a really bad way for me. So what I really want is to just keep going backwards. As long as I don't show broadside to the Tirpitz or Iowa, I should be okay. At least I should be able to tank for a really long time. Because if you look at it, the damage they do is very minor. The fires do hurt, but like the direct damage from the AP shells of the Iowa and Tirpitz are weak. Pretty much the only thing that's scary from this kind of an angle is a Yamato, but there are none in this game, so I feel like I'm gonna be in a good position. We just need to try to keep them unable to take the A-cap, because we are slowly ticking into the lead in points even though we have lost more ships. I have 2 cruisers backing me up here, but I mean, it's not the greatest idea for them to be this far ahead. I think they should also start slowly backing off. Because right now, on this flank, it's more important to stay alive. I do wonder what the enemy Nagata is doing, the one that went completely north and kept staying really far away. But I mean, I'm literally reversing away from the enemies, and it's working fine. I don't want to be too close to Tirpitz, because, you know, torpedoes. But it's completely fine if she keeps showing me broadside, because that means I can pen for a lot of damage. Essentially, what I think a battleship should do is you really want to be able to use all of your heals in the duration of a match. And if you die then to the damage, that's fine, because, you know, you tanked so much damage, you did your job. But if you die before you use up all your heals, I think that's a bit of a waste, because, you know, you could have used them. It's like dying in a destroyer before you use up all your smokes. You could just be doing so much better. There's so much potential wasted. I'm gonna start going closer again. I want to pick off the Kutuzov. I select the Iowa for secondary targeting. By the way, I don't have manual secondaries, so I don't really need to do it. But targeting with secondaries gives you slightly more accuracy on those secondaries. Okay, so I couldn't shoot the Iowa, so the Iowa probably can't shoot me either. Now the important thing is to try to pick off this Kutuzov. And by the way, they still have not kept the A-cap. I would really like it to... I would really like it if I could shoot the Tirpitz, sorry. But I guess it's okay. If I can take out this Kutuzov, that's going to be definitely good enough. And oh, by the way, there's the Nagata I was talking about earlier. I'm turning away because I think the Kutuzov could have torpedoed me from this range. I'm not quite sure. I think the Kutuzov has 8-kilometer torpedoes, right? Right? I might be mistaken, of course. Wouldn't be the first time. For the longest time I thought Tirpitz had 8-kilometer torpedoes. Color me surprised when I found out that they are actually only 6 kilometers. Well, she did torpedo. I think they might have reached the position I was at, so moving away was definitely the right choice. I guess I'm gonna try hitting the Nagata now, because she will be the easiest target. I have to turn my ship the least amount, so I will be able to fire like right now. I would have liked to shoot the Tirpitz, but she was behind that mountain, so I couldn't. And look at this dispersion. Like, the dispersion on these guns is just good, and that is the main advantage of the Izumo. The other thing that she does actually bring with good dispersion is that her guns still rotate quickly, or turn quickly, unlike, well, the Yamato, I guess. Like, the Yamato is also fairly accurate, but her guns, or turrets actually, turn very slowly. I'll try taking a hit on the Izumo, or sorry, Iowa, because she is being stationary. So if those shells can go over that mountain, they might actually citadel the Iowa. Like that. Oh, it was a detonation. Oh well, 54,000 damage. But then again, if you think about it, you can't really get detonations with AP without getting citadels, so... That was kind of a screw up by the Iowa. Because even if that hadn't detonated the Iowa, she would have taken a ton of damage from that salvo. As you could see the grouping of the shells and what part of the ship they hit. And because of these things, like the accuracy, I find that the Izumo is actually really fucking good nowadays. I really do enjoy her. Okay, so now it's a Tirpitz coming in, select for secondary targeting, and now I'm gonna keep turning and turn away. I'm gonna shoot the Nagata to try to pick her off. And I will keep running from this Tirpitz, because if she gets within 6 kilometers, well, I guess not if she gets within 6 kilometers, but if I keep going closer, that's gonna hurt that salvo. Ouch, that hurt, but I guess I had it coming because I am showing broadside. But I need to, if I keep going closer, she can torpedo me. And I think that one might hurt even more. I would really like to pick this Nagata off before I start dealing with the Tirpitz, but I guess since she disappeared, I have to deal with the Tirpitz now. Turning in... What? She's firing HE. Why are you firing HE? You really should fire AP at an Izumo. So basically, it's okay if I stay within like 5 kilometers as long as I'm moving away from the Tirpitz. She will not be able to torpedo me. Okay, this is actually pretty bad. We have 3 ships, they have 5. We have 3 of the cap zones though, so we are still ahead. But if we start losing too many ships, we are gonna lose. And by the way, we have 2 cruisers and me left only. So imagine if I had rushed into A earlier, I probably would have already been dead, and we probably already would have lost the game. Right now we do have a fighting chance though, because, well, I'm still alive, and the 2 cruisers are still alive, and it seems the Tirpitz is focusing on me rather than on the cruisers, which is a good thing. You really want the battleships to tank the damage. Also, by the way, those secondaries are really nice, setting fires and stuff. Okay, that's my 3rd gun gone, which is the back gun, so I guess what I can do now is simply turn my ship around and head straight towards the enemy, because it makes no difference. I'm not gonna get any more shells on the target anyway if I don't do that, so I might as well just rush straight ahead towards them. We are still 300, almost 300 points ahead, and I think we should be able to kill this Tirpitz. And in that situation, we should be able to win the game as well. Although I think it's likely the enemy team is going to cap the D cap. They have 2 ships over here, 1 at B, so this means that they still have 1 cruiser and 1 battleship elsewhere. Need to keep that in mind, so it's possible that they might just cap D. I would really like it if we could pick this Tirpitz off before she gets behind that island, because that's going to be very difficult to attack since she has torpedoes. And right now what we need to prioritize is not dying. Like, if it was okay if my ship died, I could always rush in and kill her, but I would probably take some torpedoes in return, and that might just seal the deal. I don't really want to use heal right now. I think there is still some more damage I can take that I could heal up when I wait a bit longer. And since the Tirpitz is firing HE, all of this damage is going to be added, and I guess I'll use it now, since it seems more or less to be the maximum amount, or close enough at least. If that rune becomes visible, I think I might just take a shot on her. Because taking out that rune is, I think, more important, because that rune seems to be targeting one of the cruisers instead of, you know, me. As long as they fire at me, I have, barely... By the way, did you see that lag right now on the Nagata? Those things are incredibly annoying. But I have confidence in being able to survive if the enemy shoot me. I don't have much confidence in my friendly cruisers being able to survive if they are the ones being shot at. So I would really like it if they shot me instead of the cruisers, but at least the rune was taken care of. I'm gonna keep shooting this Nagato. I should be able to take her out. The enemy team did get 3 of the 4 cap zones, but we are so close to, you know, winning by points already that it's okay if they have 3 of the 4 cap points. We would still win the capping game. And actually, if we kill like one ship on their team, we will have already won the game. Unfortunately, the Nagato healed, so I guess I have to switch targets to the Tirpitz again, especially since she is showing broadside, so it's a good target. By the way, you don't really want to fire exactly on the waterline against the Tirpitz or German battleships in general, because they have turtleback armor. And they also tend to have thick belts, which means that you're not very likely to citadel them, and you don't get as many penetrations when hitting the waterline belt armor. You want to aim a bit higher actually, because if you hit the higher parts of the ship you tend to deal more damage. I'm taking a shot on the Nagato instead of the Tirpitz because the Nagato again isn't angled, even though she is so much further away. I think the Tirpitz is going to torpedo me now, once she shows broadside, although maybe her torpedo launcher is broken. But really what we need to do is simply survive. It's 21 points only. I don't like the fact that the Baltimore is going in. I think that's a bad idea. But because the Tirpitz fired me instead of the Baltimore, I think it's okay. Firing HE now, because I was thinking that the Tirpitz wasn't gonna show broadside, but unfortunately by the time, you know, HE had almost loaded, she was already showing broadside, so it wasn't as great. But the game's gonna end in a moment anyway, so it should be okay. As long as the Baltimore doesn't die, of course. But the Tirpitz fired HE, so it's okay. Okay, I think the Tirpitz might actually die here. 15, 1000 HP. Okay, the Iowa shot me, but it's okay. Tirpitz almost died, 752 HP. But we took to 1000 points. A win's a win though, so considering we were down like 3 ships at some point, it's okay. And I think I had a pretty amazing result considering I'm in the Izumo. 457,000 credits, 12,800 experience, and I did 254,000 damage. This is a very strong result in the Izumo. Of course it's a bit biased because I kept shooting battleships, but this is what the game, you know, this is the situation I had. I got Dreadnought, Devastating Strike and High Caliber as well. 2,861 base experience is a very strong result in an Izumo. And the Baltimore and Ibuki also played well, and I guess the Loyang as well. So this is what I did in terms of damage. I only shot 5 ships. But I still did a lot of damage. I mean, I did shoot an Iowa, Tirpitz, and Nagato, so those add up to a lot of damage. And if you look at this, that's 20,000 damage from the secondaries. Okay, almost 20,000 damage from the secondaries. I did fire some HE, so that might muddle the waters a little bit, but probably not by much. I took 130,000 damage, and I still survived, so I had a pretty good game this time. And I do think that Izumo is actually a pretty strong tier 9 ship. But now I would think, now with the Friedrich available, I think she is a bit stronger. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a pretty amazing match for me, especially considering the ship I was in. And I would like to thank the Patreons who helped the channel going. Thank you very much for your continued support, Voguyen, and I hope I see you guys next time.